Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of London Spirits Competition. Super chat with Tom Hollywood, on why distillers should hire a bartender and how that can save them money and time in that learning curve, especially when you're a new brand. It's worth to invest, I think, a little bit extra personally in getting the bartenders involved in selling. So enjoy this video, some good pointers out there, especially for the distillers out there, who are looking to hire sales reps. Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of London Spirits Competition and Beverage Trade Network. We are live from London for the 7th annual London Spirits Competition. I have Tom Hollywood here. He's a brand ambassador for an amazing distillery, and we're going to talk about how really being a bartender in your previous career, or even doing a little bit of bartending on the side, helps you in sales. So, if you were a buyer at one point, and how you can translate what kind of knowledge it will help you, when you're out there on selling for a distillery. So Tom, let's dive deep into this. Let's start with your experience, go over your journey and what are you up to these days?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, so I was in hospitality for just over 13 years. Wow. At the same place, lovely little countryside property at the Manoir Quat'Saisons in Oxfordshire. And I fled the nest at last. I thought, you know what? I said to myself, I have to try a different sector. I have to do it. And what I didn't realize for a long, long time is you are selling in hospitality anyway.
Yeah.
You have a variety of guests that come through the door. You sell different wines, spirits, experiences.
That's interesting, so because you think that it's not a hard sell, but you think that it's still a hard sell?
No, not at all, not at all.
But this is a hard sell now, right? Like this is a proper, you feel like you're doing a sales job.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. In some ways.
Okay.
I think the good thing about it is the distillery I work now, the Cambridge Distillery, I've worked very, very closely with Will Lowe for over 10 years as well. I worked very, very closely at the Manoir when we had a collaboration with them. And then we've moved forward and I've seen him here and there, always caught up with him. So it was only going to be some time before I joined him on the team.
I just want to go there. Like at what point you decided, all right, let me go back to the supply side. Was it because of the bartending hours or the shift or the demands, or what was the reason you changed gears?
Yeah, it was, I think I always just wanted to try something different. I think being at the same property for 13 years, ever since I was 15, was quite weird. That was part of it. I didn't really want to leave Le Manoir, to be honest, but I said to myself, I must try a different sector. The hours are different, of course. The style is different, but it was very much more condensed about just gin and just a distillery, rather than being a head mixologist where it was every single category all in one go and everything's a bit confusing. So it's kind of diving into one sector, and falling into the sales side is great fun because it's all about people.
But the pressure of sales and performance is very different than
so
you
different.
Just managing a bar. I'm not saying it's tough. I know bar is tough mentally and physically, but this is like purely sales based, right? If you're cracking it or not.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. So you've got to go have a very detailed approach, and I think from this last decade, knowing the industry and knowing these properties and these groups and where to, should we say, attack.
So let's start there. Like what were the good things that you immediately, it's like Will buying your experience in accounts technically, right?
Yeah.
So tell me what all that looks like.
Yeah, so as a bartender for me, I was head mixologist for just over 4 years. And I thought, what do I want to get out of this when I was a head mixologist? I want to work with brands, I want to make cocktails, I want to do this. So I'm applying that same kind of sculpture, but as a third party. And I'm looking at these bartenders and going, they might be interested in doing an activation with this or doing this, and seeing where the industry is going, where brands are going very heavy activation side with, cocktail activations, or, they're doing like series with bartenders and so on. So applying that in the way that I know works well in the industry, and with the colleagues that I've met and many peers in the industry, it kind of works well. So
I want to understand, just for the distillers out there, to really double click on that why thing. I think one is you don't have to do that crazy cold call or look for a name, right? No. So share me some of the ways you approach a bar instead of a rep which is just coming from, let's say, pharma sales.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing, and the drop-in procedure is always the best way. So just go into town, get your face out there. Get to know people is always the best way. Spend some evenings after work, going to a little bar, just have one drink and talk to the bartender.
Where you don't know the bartender or the buyer, what is your approach to doing a cold call?
So kind of the approach is when you first go in, a lot of it's talking about the industry, talking about other people in the industry, what inspires them, what spirits categories they like. If you go in with the approach with learning something, then it's always a win-win. And I think always the bartenders, they want to talk about cocktails, they want to talk about other people, where the industry's going and so on. And I think knowledge is very, very important in that sense. You know, the more you know about the industry and cocktails and so on, you can kind of show yourself off in a little way. And I feel like it's easy to.
And then, as you say, like you are very quick because of your experience. You would know exactly what kind of activation program you can add value to that bar, or where is the gap in their menu, or what can they do with your drinks, right? So I think that also comes from experience. But if you can go a little detailed on like 3 or 4 things that you would immediately see a bar and sort of use it for your sales.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with the products, for example, that I'm working with now is a variety of products. You know, we have a Japanese gin, a truffle gin, the world's most exclusive gin. So you can kind of tailor every single product in a linear motion to what areas it would work. So, for example, Japanese gin, you'll be going to more Asian cuisine immediately. That's an immediate approach that, you know, you've got to basically have 50-50 chance it will work or not. But if it makes sense in your head, then for me, it's just like, that's where the passion comes in for me, which I always had at the Manoir. It's I'm so passionate for a product and I know this would work. It only makes sense that this product's going to work in your bar. So why don't we have a little tasting and give it a go? And that's kind of the main part I find. As you said before, you know, a lot of our sales jobs are hard sales. Whether it's a product that maybe isn't that unique, that's tough. I think going into a role that would be that case, that for me would be a little bit different, because I'm very, very natural with my approach and I'm there to have fun. And yeah, the products I work with now are all really, really unique in their own way, especially within a very saturated market of gin. So that's for me. But you know, for example, I wouldn't approach with one of our specific products to somewhere that wouldn't make sense. I could maybe give it a go, and there'll be a very, very low chance that it could work, and then I'd apply a hard sell, but that's not for me. I want more a natural approach and for it to really make sense. So truffle gin, for example, I then have the categories of Italian restaurants or Michelin or ultra luxury, because it's very, very usable and very, very premium. So that's kind of how it works in my head. And, you know, I have like the step-by-step previous approach of how I'm going to.
And when it comes to programming, you know, like what kind of support you can offer. So let's say you want to put the best program in your first thing, right? Which is, all right, I think it makes sense. I think I'll get value out of it. So how do you read that, and then what kind of cues are there?
It's quite interesting, because I think back in the day, what a lot of people would like is just a listing fee, you know, a bit of cash in the bank, continue, and then the partnership starts. But actually, from what we can deliver at Cambridge Distillery, not even just from me and my experience and what I've learned and from my WSETs that I've learned and so on, is our founder, Will Lowe, who's the world's first master of wine and master distiller.
Correct. That's a good selling
So
skill,
straight away, if we have partners that are part of our couture range, which is purchasing with Tenchi, he's instantly able to go in there and do trainings and so on, and share his experience. So that's a really, really good one.
So you're using him as educational,
The educational side is amazing. I mean, you know, he taught a lot of stuff for me during my WSET and so on. He's trained over 10,000 professionals. So that sense alone is really, really great. And I think what a lot of these bars want is they want to learn black and white what is what. And that's why the WSET is a really, really good kind of starter.
Yeah.
But obviously it comes in a price per person. So if we can deliver some other training, whether it's gin or, for my side, cocktails that I've learned, any other experience that people want to learn, that's what seems to be working quite well. And yeah, the training sessions is always a big one. We've done a few activations where, you know, cocktail development with other people and so on, and just me, you know, going in and doing a little tasting of the variety of our products and some unique things, because it's such a unique distillation.
I think I love the combo overall, like especially in your case where Will is sort of, I believe, still. I know that for sure that the first master of wine and master distiller.
Yeah, still the only.
Still the only, right? So that and a bartender, it's amazing sales team, and he's good in sales also. You know, he's very marketing and sales driven. He understands. So it's a very good combination. I'm sure instead of just being behind in the barrels and distilling, he's actually out there as well.
He's out there, you know, a lot more now, and then when we need to, he does a lot of kind of gin tailoring. So he'll create a lot of gins for specific venues, and then he'll jump behind the stills and get cracking. But it's a very, very long distillation period. It's not like you're throwing things in a copper pot still. This is individual distillates being created at different pressures, temperatures, different maceration times, and then we blend at the end. So we do it a completely different way to everywhere else. I think there's only a handful of distilleries.
So let's go back on that thing, right? You're hiring a bartender. If you were a distillery and if you were to interview bartenders for the sales jobs, now you've done it, so you know what kind of skill set is required on the other side. What kind of questions or what would that interview look like when you're actually a distiller and chatting with a bartender and bringing him on your side?
I think the most important thing is being approachable. It depends how you are with guests. I was always very, very guest heavy. I would step back from things like maybe doing a bit of revision of bars or this or that or some restaurant or service styles, and I would just spend time with the guests, learning about them, because it is all about people at the end of the day. And that's sales is all about being with people and having a laugh together and building a connection. But with that as well, it's also, as I said before, that knowledge. So, you know, how knowledgeable are they? Do they understand the industry that we're in? Cocktails, every spirit category as well, because knowledge will always work well. The more you know, the more you can have a proper interaction. Because you know, a lot of these bar directors out there, they've been in the industry for many years.
On the KPI side, Tom, you know, how many accounts you have to hit in a week? What is expected of you to open new bars, you know, or placements? Throw some KPIs there on how, you know, a usual. Obviously, for you it will be you're in a premium distillery. Plus, you come with an experience. The standards are much higher.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
if I talk just about your standards, like what are some numbers out there? Number of accounts, number of new accounts, number of placements, number of activations, So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the activations, they kind of come along as they come along naturally.
Yep.
It's something that is not really fed out by me personally. But we get people who ask, "Can you do this?" And you know,
so that's easy. But what about the routes? Like you have to go and say hello to the 60 people a week. Is there a number?
Yeah, no, there actually isn't a number, and that's the. Nice. I think what the MD of Cambridge and Will have generated is it's a very kind of enjoyable environment where obviously we are in sales. There is numbers behind the scenes. If things are not going anywhere, then something's going wrong. But as long as you see this progression of, you know, accounts generating up, activations happening, presence on social media and going on, then that's how it needs to be. Which is, I think, it makes it a very natural environment. Which is why I was so skeptical of going to sales before. Because if you get close to your target, you don't
like a route. Like Monday, you're going to see the 6 people. Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much we do a lot of journey maps and linking to that. So, for example, the start. I've only been there 3 months so far, but the main focus is the Mayfair area and London. I'm based in Oxford myself. Obviously, the distillery's in Cambridge. They've had a lot of traction in the local area and the Midlands and East Anglia and so on, and a little bit in London. But you know, from my experience, there's so many places in London and so many places that I feel would really enjoy the products, and that's where I'm kind of inside. I'm passionate.
Yeah, I can see your passion, which is great. So, any closing remarks for the distillers on? Just like if you were to convince them that you should hire a bartender. Yeah,
if you find the right one that's passionate, and you'd be surprised the amount of contacts that some people can have sometimes. You know, you can go from being a bartender, especially in London. You know, I haven't even spent time as a bartender in London. But you even see today upstairs, you know, everyone knows each other. Everyone's saying, "Hi, how are you doing? Nice to see you again." So the industry is huge. I mean, you know, it takes up a vast majority of our country here, but actually it's quite small when you go in these certain areas. And there's people that have come from Bournemouth and they're saying hi to people that have come down from Edinburgh. So that once again goes to the social media side, which if you generate a great portfolio on social media, as a bartender, we're talking this side, that's extremely helpful for then later on if you do want to make the change into sales or a completely different field.
True.
Because everyone knows each other. It's a very, very small world.